Richard, what are we doing today?
Well, I think we're just going to have a little quiet scallop. Yeah, the water looks blue. I'm feeling blue because there's a little chilly in the air. And yeah, it's just a sort of plenty tide today, so we just have a little scallop and look around, see what else we can do. No doubt you'll go down and film something small.
Yeah.
And neat, beautiful.
Yeah, today we have Paul Main D and Phil.
Well.
Yeah, it is a little bit windy today. I think we're going to go down here somewhere in this area. So let's get in the water.
See you in about a minute after you at the bottom. What they call amateur diving, is it?
800 dives, that hasn't happened. I knew it was going to happen today.
Oh, they always say that. Yeah.
We'll edit that one out. Welcome back to Bailiwick Guernsey Shipwrecked. Thanks for coming along on another dive. Today we are doing a drift dive for scallops again. I need to turn my other spotlight on. There we go. You can see what we're doing now. So you can see how fast we're drifting south down towards Fermain Point. Just picking lovely big scallops up on the way down. They're not the biggest of scallops, but they are quite a decent size. And as you can see here, there's plenty of small ones left as well. It's always good to see the small ones. Oh cool, look at this. It's a Couch's sea bream. Little tiny juvenile. You can see its red coloration with its bands on its back. This is just a baby. There was a record caught in Guernsey by a bloke called Ray Fallais, no relation to me, and it weighed £6 9 ounce 7 dram in 2007, but again in 2011 there was one caught £9 4 ounce and 5 drams. That was off the west coast of Guernsey. These things only started turning up back in 1993 after a longer absence. See how fast we're travelling along. Phil's just using these fins just to go left and right, letting the tide take us. This is the best way to scallop. You can see how fast the tide's moving. Check out these snake locking enemies. Pretty deep at 25 metres for these things. And plenty of these around at the moment as well. Dogfish, or cat sharks. Some of these are well undersized. So the width of my hand is exactly 100mm, which is a gauge size. So that one's too small, probably by about 10mm. So we'll put it back. Plenty of different colours, and they don't move out of the way either. And we got cockles as well, some sort of cockle, I'm not sure what that one is. Looks like it's first dive over already. I've basically used half a tank. So 55 bar. Really I want to be getting back to the surface for at least 50 bar. But no, my luck now I'll probably be about 40 bar and back on the surface after I've done my safety stop. Bit of courtesy, tail feel I'm going up. And then we're off. Plenty of these around as well. Baby cuttlefish. It's good, they can swim in both directions just as fast. Shame we didn't have a puff of ink then. So as I'm coming back up, you can see Phil's carrying on scalloping. You can see his line going back to the surface. And I've come up a wedge-shaped rock, so it's actually pushing me back up towards the surface, which isn't the best. So I need to be coming up slowly. So I better slow down and take my time. Let a load of air out my suit and try and weight myself down a little. Yeah, 45 bar left and that's me, back on the surface. You can just see Phil behind me, and it looks like the boat is miles away, but it isn't. That's the weird thing about when you're in the water, you think stuff's really far away, catches you out really. It does actually make you feel quite vulnerable when you're at water level. There you go, didn't take long for Richard to come over. Phil's bobbing. Go and pick him up.
Oh, you going past or what?
Yeah. Thank you. Gonna have to winch Phil's in. Phil's is a winch job.
I haven't got that many.
You haven't got that many, no? You can see the tide there, look. Always come up into the dive into the direction of the tide. Oh, Paul's grabbing it. See, that's a good idea, that little bit of rope on the end.
Oh, I got a winch as well.
Yeah. You like the winch?
I like the wet. That was lovely, Richard. Absolutely lovely. Nice bit of winter diving.
You broke any records today?
No. No records today.
There's a lot of dogfish down there, eh?
A lot of dogfish, a lot of buried codfish.
Yeah, baby buried cottles.
Knackered, you know. It's the age.
It is, it's very tiring.
I was a windsurf yesterday, I think, Richard. Is it? Right. About. Trying to pull me over the top of it.
Oh mate, I got spat out. Got on the end of the tide, up onto the weed, and it just spat me out. This bit of rock that comes right out here.
It's driving me nuts. I was trying to go around it and it's going to pull me southwest.
That's the worst part of having a bit of tide.
What's that?
Actually getting ripped around everywhere, not going to be able to... After I left you, Phil, I got shot up almost to the surface.
did you?
Yeah. It's like up the rocks, and the rocks just shot me up with the tide. Could have done better. There's an empty one here, look. This happens quite a bit, to be honest. What are these? Little crabs. Shame I didn't have the macro on. Let's get the macro on. Sort of crabs are they? No messing around today, we're straight back in the water after half an hour surface interval. It's quite cold today and we want to get back to the cafe. So straight back to the bottom for me and Phil again. This is what it looks like when we're dropping down. 9 times out of 10 you drop down onto the sand. Sometimes you drop onto reef, but 9 times out of 10 here it's into a nice sandy bottom. We've already found some sort of debris. Need to explore it. This looks like a crushed crab pot. Or maybe not. My eyes were deceiving me. Some wreckage from the Beaufort, I think. You can just see Phil to my right now. And past all this Ross coral. Pretty cool. Okay, that completely spun me out. That wasn't Phil on my right hand side there, that was Paul. But I was quite confident it was Phil, so I never even bothered looking. But yeah, when I look back and see the bag, it's definitely Paul. We're almost drifting back down the same route. What we've done is like mowing the lawn. We've dropped us basically a bit further, a bit deeper, a little bit deeper. So I'm kind of hoping to get the larger ones rather than the smaller ones. It's not because they like the deeper water more, it's just the deeper you go, the less chance that another diver's been down through there. I see these things quite a lot. I've never really paid much attention to it, but they're common otter shells. So these things live in the sand standing up. They're the things that make the round holes in the sand as you swim by. Sometimes you'll see it in my footage that it'll be just round holes in the sand. That'd be the mouths of these things. Don't know why it's been taken out. Maybe a starfish probably ate it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I have to start being careful now because there's all this old trawl cable. This is wire, so you're not going to cut through it, so best you don't get caught in it. You notice here, some of them are actually on the surface. Not quite sure why. Rarely you get them on the surface. Maybe there's a predator around somewhere. A load of starfish. Can't get too excited. Not all these scallops are actually in the shell still. This is where someone's chucked their old catch back. We'll come across the Beaufort wreckage. It's awesome, this stuff. Always makes me wonder, after they salvaged it and just dropped it into deep water, why it was never properly salvaged and landed in the harbour and scrapped. Even in the 30s, surely this was worth money. loads of areas where it's sheltered and loads of areas where the tide speeds up, so this is why you get some of the coral. There's a spider crab hidden there on the inside as well. In between here there's loads of scallops in the sand as well. I know I'm fairly deep, so I've got to keep an eye on my time now. Only having a short surface interval, got to keep an eye on it a little bit better. There's plenty of wreckage around here. I don't think I've ever seen this much before. I always try and piece it together and try and guess what's what. Was this the side of the ship laying over to the right? I suppose I'd never know. You can see it's all riveted. This was basically blown up with dynamite, so it's completely torn to pieces. It's well out of shape. Normally checking every little hole, because these are prime locations for lobsters and crayfish. Crayfish were only allowed to film, you're not allowed to touch them. In fact, if you got caught, they'd probably take all your dive gear away from you and your boat and give you a £5,000 fine, so really don't want to be touching the crayfish. Lobsters are alright. I still never seem to take them though. Ooh, what's this? It's a weird shaped object in the sand. Give a little wobble. No, whatever that is mega heavy and stuck to the floor. Can't really tell from this video, but it's actually on a slope. Not much of a slope, it's probably 20 degrees slope to my left. So I've got to check my air because I'm fairly deep, and also check my bottom time. I've got 14 minutes bottom time and loads of air, so I'm probably going to run out of bottom time before air. Here's another big chunk. There's loads of it scattered as you go south. You can see the tide whipping past us. You can see the little bits of stone and dust in the water flowing down towards Phil. So I struggle to swim around here. I want to take a look underneath it. Because it's in all these sheltered parts you end up finding stuff. There's a few jewel and enemies underneath there. Nothing much though. Got to remember we got our ropes back up to the surface, so we got to be very careful we don't get tangled around any of this. One thing we do see in here is these large wrasse, big ballan wrasse, and you know I've mentioned it before. The wrasse seem to take a camouflage of the area they live in. Take a look at this one. He's trying to blend in with the background. Not bad. Not a bad attempt. We thought that was the last of it. Probably had about a 15-20 metre swim, and then we'll find a bit more of it now, a bit more wreckage. Look at this one. Like I say, Phil's being careful. He can't swim around too many places because of his bag and his rope, but he just pops his head on here and points out to me this huge pink fan. There's also other types of stuff in there as well. Look like sea cucumber, gravel sea cucumbers. And I think that's just a rock. And a black bit of pipe. It's plastic. Could be off the shipwreck. Might just be rubbish that's been dumped there. And we're back on the scallops again. our competition. Large spiny starfish. He may have got away from the starfish, but he certainly didn't get away from me. Look at the size of these things. Use hundreds of, or thousands of little legs to prise them open. They make really short work of opening up a scallop. Nice hat. Might be able to put it back. Every so often we come across this tangled messes. This was, believe it or not, a crab pot at one time. It was like an artificial reef. It's got all sorts of the smaller stuff on here, and this to the untrained eye would look like a bit of copper pipe, a bit of salvage, but it isn't. It's a really old rubber pipe off or something, probably a hydraulic line. Looks like we're doing slightly better than we did on the first dive. Looks like Phil is as well. And that's the reason why I'm missing so many, because Phil's in front of me and he's nicking all of mine. But they're all going in the same pot, so it doesn't really matter. 8 minutes bottom time left. And my battery, I think, is going to need replacing as well. That seems to be in the yellow. We've gone up a lovely smooth strip now, strip of sand. 140 bar, 130 bar, everything's good. So on my second dive, I've got to be a bit more cautious with my air and my bottom time. So you tend to find me looking a lot more.
What you talking about, Willis?
I love coming along and finding these little fish inside the holes. Not sure, but I think Phil's made the move. He's tied his bag up and he's starting to go up his line. So I think I'm going to follow him. There's his bag left on the seabed. And what he'll do is he'll go up the line, probably get about 3/4 of the way up, and then he'll start coiling it to shorten the rope out. Sometimes it's nice to lift the bag off the seabed if there's reef around, just so it doesn't get tangled. Yeah, this is a decent amount of scallops this time. I used to think the coloration of them was to do with their environment, but it turns out someone's done research in Chile and they reckon it's hereditary. Today's been some pretty good viz, to be honest, for this time of year. The wind has been in the northeast, which has cleared the water. Yeah, it's a lot colder, but when the viz is this good, we're happy. Safety stop complete. Some nice ones there.
A few?
Shipwreck scallop there, look.
Yeah, rusty one.
That's got to be a shipwreck scallop.
No.
Ah.
That's a 40-metre scallop. That's
Yeah. There she goes. Don't know, there's one there, Paul, will me.
Biggies in a separate tray.
Yeah.
Big ones in a separate tray.
Oh, well, okay.
Okay. Not quite sure there's going to be many big ones.
What's it called, big?
110 plus. Small. That's a big. There was a lot down there. Sorry, shot mine on there as well. How many?
58.
Oh, he beat me, 64.
So close, but so far.
I think Paul's beating both of us.
He's ripped my butts.
How many?
154.
Oh yeah, he beat us. I had 64 and Phil had, what, 70? 76. It's not bad. Few crates for Richard.